Cindy,
neighbors.
they don't control the agenda.
Okay.
You've asked me to speak.
I just hope you're aware that this man is a racist and he organizes militants. We don't.
You're not welcome here. You're not welcome here.
Excuse me, it's my meeting.
No, this is a pro park.
In your paper, I've read everything that you read in the paper.
I'm waiting so everyone can hear me speak.
I'm just asking you questions. You were the speaker. You will have your chance. No, I read everything that you wrote in the paper, and you are against violence, and yet you bring this man into your
Have you gone to the website?
I have. I know this man from Caledonia.
We don't argue with that.
Okay.
Okay.
To what?
That's what they want. They want a scene. Okay. The ones who are speaking out, they want a scene. They want a scene. Now it's interesting. I've already heard a couple of quick things. When she says that she was denied a hall, there's a group. Oh, I'm sorry. My name's Gary McHale. M-C-H-A-L-E.
Oh, racist!
So I was invited here to do a presentation. She rented a hall, and you heard people clap the fact that the hall was denied. Now, can you imagine if a group of Native people tried to rent a hall and they were denied that hall? Would these people clap? Do all people have the right to rent a hall? Do all people have the right to stand up and speak?
Not when they're racist.
Do all people have the right to stand up and speak in this country? Or is there a group of people who think that they have the right to deny other people their rights?
Or is it an individual that goes from town to town?
So this is what takes place.
Preaching hate crimes.
Now we've had this before, and by the time the night's over, and you've heard us talk reasonably and not swear at them or anything else, no matter what they do, our video will show that once again we can stand in the midst of people who disagree with us. We won't get violent. We won't swear at them. We won't use racial slurs. But they'll be the ones that will be captured on video and with photos. The media will listen to them. Because the truth of the matter is, they don't want everyone to have the right to speak. It's only their views that are allowed to be expressed. Okay? And in a democracy, every person should have the right to be able to stand up and say what they need to say. How is that so hard to understand? How is that so unreasonable? And like I said, can you imagine if a group of natives wanted to have a community meeting and town after town denied them the right to have that hall? Would these people be cheering? Or would they be screaming, racist, because you've denied natives the right to have a hall? So every person should be able to speak up. That's what we have in this country. That's what people. Then when you have a venue, you can speak up. So,
no one wants you here.
well, obviously some people want us here. No. Cindy, never address them. That's what they want.
A scene. They're trying to cause a scene.
Well, I'll cause a scene.
Okay.
When you can't here is we allow you to be here.
When you can't debate your issues, you have to pull out the racism card. If we're going to stand here and have a debate or a discussion over the things that have taken place, why does one side just automatically go to the racist card? Why can't you have any sort of open discussion? Okay. So the reality is, the way to silence a group of people is automatically label them. Because you can't debate your topics.
You're very good at that.
So the reality is that in Canada, if you think that you have the right to stand up and speak, you'll have the OPP show up and interfere with your rights to rent a hall, and that's called democracy in Canada. Now, can you imagine if the OPP were directly getting involved in making sure that Native people couldn't have a hall, couldn't speak up? Because that's what took place. She had a hall.
We don't have our freedom.
She had a hall.
Many years we weren't even allowed to leave the reserve.
And that was wrong. And you want to know something? Changing the other side so that the other people don't have their rights is not the solution.
Did the KKK rent the hall, Gary?
So anyways, well, I asked Cindy. She's the one that...
KKK being able to rent the hall?
She's rented the hall. So anyways.
2 years ago.
So if you stand up in Canada and say that everyone should have the right to speak up, suddenly you're a KKK. If you actually say that in Canada nobody has a right to beat the crap out of somebody else, suddenly you're a KKK member. How is that? Huh?
Why did they shut down your venue? Because they don't want to hear you.
And that's wrong too. But the point is, if you stand up and speak against that, why should you be automatically labeled?
Exactly.
Okay?
Now you know how it feels.
Yeah, so if you abuse someone, you think that's justified because people were abused in the past? Like, how does that make sense? How does it make sense?
Abuse has never stopped, bud, and you're just a continuation of that legacy.
Well, how have I abused anybody?
Well, you go town to town.
How many times have you been arrested for the hate crimes up in Caledonia?
How many times?
Zero.
Tell these bullshit.
You've never been arrested.
No, you asked the question. See, this is how they play the game. Your question was, how many times have you been arrested for hate crimes in Caledonia?
Not hate crimes.
The answer was 0. Okay. Well, I was arrested once back in December 16, 2007 for having a Canadian flag in my hand, standing in a field like this.
Where?
In Caledonia.
In the middle of what?
The judge ordered my release because the OPP didn't even fill out any paperwork after I was in jail over 24 hours. So if you stand with a Canadian flag, you can go to jail. How is that a crime? Okay? Mark was arrested for standing at the side of the road with a Canadian flag the same day. Okay, matter of fact, 4 people have been arrested in Caledonia for standing on the side of the road with a Canadian flag. The last person that was arrested was 3 weeks ago. He was on the side of the road and 5 officers put him in handcuffs and took him away.
Now let's take count of how many of our people have been arrested for holding our flag.
None. There's not a single arrest in Caledonia. Not a single arrest in Caledonia for holding a native flag. Not a single native have been arrested
58.
for holding a flag.
For holding a flag.
Well, now we know how they see the truth. There has been charges. Matter of fact, I have the OPP press release.
Which one?
Oh, that's so
The real one or the edited version?
Which one, Gary, do you have?
Well, the ones where the natives actually pled guilty. How about that one?
Okay.
How about Trevor Miller?
What year are we talking
Okay.
about?
Guilty to get out of jail.
What year are we talking about?
Or Albert Douglas. Trevor Miller actually pled guilty in the crimes in Caledonia.
Did you get that? Is that what
Then he was prosecuted in the United States, and he pled guilty there too. So that's the reality.
Hey, can I say something? Hey, I ain't pleading guilty for them beating me up. I didn't do nothing.
That's fine, but I mean, I don't think you pled guilty to things like robbery and assaulting a police officer and theft of a motor vehicle. Right?
That's every
But anyway,
of every culture.
but there was no charge for holding a native flag. Nobody was charged for holding a native flag. Okay?
What were those charges that you just released? Were those the charges that were due to blockades or whatever?
The one, okay, I'll describe that particular. I'll describe that.
Everyday people doing different things, because in every culture there's different.
I agree with you 100%. 100%. No matter where you go in Canada, every community there is crime.
Yeah.
No doubt about it. Okay? Absolutely 100% true. Okay? But the difference in Caledonia is that the crime could be where you're standing and I'm the OPP and I watch it take place and let the person walk away. That's the difference. That is the only difference in Caledonia. There's crime everywhere. There are groups in Toronto, there's organized crime everywhere. That's the reality. We have a society where people commit crimes. The only difference in Caledonia is not the fact that people commit crimes, but that the OPP will stand and watch those crimes take place.
So
that's the only difference.
Why is it that the jails are still majority with Native people?
So on that particular event, because you wanted to bring up why that occurred, on June 9th, 2006, the OPP were in an unmarked van, videotaping the occupation on DCE, Douglas Creek Estates. Inside the van was a U.S. border guard and a U.S. ATF agent. Well, obviously they were invited in. So we have this unmarked van. I think the police forces in the States and Canada share information all the time. So they got swarmed. The officer, finally was an attempted murder charge. The officer almost got killed. Yeah. So now we understand how it works in here. If I had tried to kill somebody, would they be clapping? So there's the one sidedness of this. It's ridiculous. So at the same time, they stole the van and they roughed up the ATF agents as well. So they got the charge of attempted murder, robbery, assault, which Trevor Miller pled guilty to. And he pled guilty in the United States as well. They had separate charges in the States. So what happens is the OPP were actually in that particular event, only standing 40 feet away, and did nothing even to help their own officer. Now, if the cops aren't prepared to help their own officer, then why would they help an average person? Like, if you can't trust, if as a police officer, someone's beating you up, and your fellow officer's 40 feet away and he won't come and help you, why would any resident believe that the OPP will help them as well? They won't. So, what we've been able to do over the last 3 years is actually focus on the OPP. On Monday, we're before Superior Court to lay criminal charges against senior OPP officers and a minister in McGuinty's cabinet. We already had charges against 2 OPP officers filed through Superior Court back in January 12th. We're the first people in Canada to be able to successfully in Superior Court to get a judge to order criminal charges. But those were against OPP officers, and that's what we're doing now. And so, but the OPP officers are in Canada, and so is McGuinty's government. So we're laying charges against the police and the government. Sounds pretty racist, hey? Yeah, we're focusing on the police and the government. How dare I try to lay charges against a cabinet minister in McGuinty's government for failing the people in Caledonia. So that's what the court is on Monday and on Tuesday. Well, we already have a militia in Caledonia. It's been armed. It's been videotaped. It's been photographed. It's been in the court. The courts have already ruled on it. It's called the Men's Fire.
Oh, don't talk.
Okay? Superior Court judges have already ruled that all they are is that they're involved in extortion, intimidation. And so that's what the courts say. That's not what Gary McHale says. That's what the courts say. Judges are saying that.
Can I ask you a question, Gary, first?
Sure.
Get off the hand. And I got to ask the people that organize these meetings, because I understand their concern. I understand their concern. I mean, yes, those people have been put out by having to go around the bridge, and I understand their concern. One thing I want to say to everybody is that you should name our concern on native people. You're naming your concern at the federal government. All we want is them to come to this town. All we want is for you to come down here with an agenda from Caledonia. We Mohawks in Tyendinaga have an agenda not to make this a Caledonia style issue. So for you to come down here and preach to these people about Caledonia, it's not about that. It's not about that. It's about the federal government's inaction to come to the table and talk.
You've got no right to bring the problem over here.
We're neighbors. We have to live side by side. I'm not intimidating anything. I'm asking you to leave. You are a racist son of a bitch.
Yeah, well, that's your view. You want to know something? The courts disagree with you.
That's not how you do it, Cindy. Not with that man.
I want to say one more thing.
Doctor's office. Yeah. I had a nice, pleasant conversation with you. I passed you downtown Deseronto. Yeah. If you want to talk about your rights, you have rights. We have to live with you. We want to keep peace with Deseronto.